welcome to August wrap-up. It is very hot in Southern California. I don't know if you heard, but there's a big old heat wave here, and even for me, who I hate the cold, it's a little unbearable even for me. I'm trying to get through this quick. I don't want to make a super lengthy video because I don't want to sit here and talk and sweat for the entire time. I have talked about almost every single book here, actually every single book here in some wrap-up at some point, so I will link those all in the description, and let's just get started. Oh, double fisted it with my drinks today. Oh god, it's so hot, y'all. Okay, for the monthly wrap-ups, I will go from my DNFs and lowest ratings and end with the highest rating. So the DNF this month was Same Bed, Different Dreams by Ed Park. I picked this up because it was, did it win the Pulitzer? It was on the short list for the Pulitzer Prize. It seemed interesting, but it was just doing a lot of literary, sort of like interesting writing stuff that I just wasn't vibing with. And I can see why this was on the short list for the Pulitzer. It was doing some interesting stuff, but I just wasn't vibing with it. And I got about a little over 100 pages in and just kind of gave up. So that was my DNF. So my 1.5 star is Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead by Jenny Hollander. I very much disliked this thriller. It's about this woman who is a editor for a magazine, and when she was in college, one of her classmates went on a murder spree in what was called this like Silent Christmas or something like that. She survived, and she's dealing with a lot of trauma, PTSD, panic attacks, dissociation, and in the current day, the sister of one of the victims is going to make a movie, and apparently our main character has something to hide from that night. So we uncover what all that is. This did not work for me. I was compelled. I gave it a 1.5 because I was very compelled and I wanted to know what happened. But when it was finally revealed what happened, I was incensed. It was so stupid. I was like, that was it. Like, it was dumb. It was so dumb. Sucks. Don't read it. Anti-recommendation. Don't read the book. I wonder if you noticed that with every video I do as time passes, after I dye my hair, the lightening that happens, the lighter, how much the color washes out. Okay. 2-star book was Countess by Suzan Palumbo. I did talk about this at length. This is a gender-flipped sci-fi queer retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo. It tries to do Count of Monte Cristo, which is like a 900-page book in about 150 pages. It does not work. I love Suzan Palumbo's writing, and her writing does shine through here, but the story crafting just didn't work for me. So link down below if you want to learn more about that. We're on to our 3 stars. So I had 2 3-star books. The first was The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. This 3-star rating is a tiny bit of a disappointment for me because I love The Expanse. I have talked about this, again, like I've talked about all of these, but this is essentially a story where humans who are living on this planet get first contact by hostile aliens and are forced to go to this alien world and prove themselves useful or helpful to the aliens. I will leave it at that. There's a lot going on here. To their strengths, like James S.A. Corey are very strong writers, but the story, the pacing just didn't work for me. And then I found it very boring, especially in the middle where the pacing just slowed down so much. I am going to continue book 2 because this is intriguing. It just felt like this was like a prologue kind of book. So I'm hoping book 2 kicks off and really does some interesting stuff, because there is the bare bones of something that I know I could be very interested in here, but just this first book was really boring. So disappointing. My second 3-star is people who are going to be disappointed in me in the other direction. Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. I did talk about this, actually my last weekly wrap up. I enjoy a lot of what he's doing, and I think that these books just feel so long. And I said last time that I don't see where he would need to, like, I understand why he's kept everything in that he has. I understand why scenes are there. I understand why stuff's there for world building, for character growth. But I feel like every single scene could have some pages shaved off of it and get this book down to like 800 pages. It's just so, it just feels like so much, and it's exhausting. But I am going to continue, because like people talk about moments that happen in the book, and I'm like, yeah, that was fucking badass. I liked that. That was great. Like, I liked the character growth. So like, I like it, but like a 3-star for me means liked it. I just didn't really like it or loved it, you know? So I am continuing. I think, thanks to Ash's recommendation, I'm going to try Oathbreaker on audio. It is a very long audiobook, but I will see if having it on audio helps with like feeling like there's so much to it. So we'll see. Next is a 3.5 star, and that is Sinophagia, which is a, what's the word? Anthology collection of Chinese horror short stories. This was really, really well curated, and I think the editor did a lot of great work in terms of really building up a background for you going into this. So like, read the editor's introduction, like it's really worth it. But yeah, I think a lot of the stories didn't really hit for me because, like the editor explains, Chinese horror is a different beast from Western horror, American horror that I'm used to, you know. So they didn't quite hit for me, but it's just such an interesting thing to go into and to experience horror from a completely different cultural lens. So I highly recommend it for that alone. Like, it's well worth picking up if you want to try it out. So Sinophagia, 3.5 stars. We're zipping through this. All right. We're on to 4 stars. First 4-star was Sanctuary by Ilona Andrews. This is a short novel set in her Kate Daniels universe. So this is following Roman, who is a Russian Eastern European person who's tied to Chernobog, essentially. This goes into a story with him and really opens up that part of the world. I liked Roman as a character in the main series. I like getting to know him here. I think this has a lot of great pacing, really fast pacing for the first half, and then it really slows down at the end. Kind of takes away from the main pacing that was happening in the beginning, but still worth it if you're a fan of the series and you want more of the series and you want more Roman. Absolutely worth it. If you don't know anything about the series, you could read this, but I think you could read this on its own, but I don't know why you would want to. So that was Sanctuary, 4 stars. I just want to say real quick that my physical pile that I have here for this month, this was 4 stars and above. Not a flop here, which is exciting. How exciting is that? Like, one of these is a reread that I know will always be a 5-star in my heart, but the rest of them, like, just great books. So what a good reading month August was. It was so good. The second 4-star of August was The Stardust Grail by Yume Kitasei. Again, I've talked about this at length. This is a sci-fi adventure novel, kind of shades of the type of adventure, archaeological adventure like Indiana Jones or Lara Croft. Just very sci-fi, very forward-thinking, very queer. It's a good fun time. We are on to the 4.5-star book that was won this month, and that is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. Now this is essentially a story about a girl in this world where fae are kind of a thing. Maybe she is in the school, in architecture school, and she's only in the architecture school because she could have gotten into the literature school, but they don't accept girls. She is picked to redesign the house for the son of this author who wrote her very favorite book, The Angharad, which is a fairy king kind of story, epic story. She's been obsessed with it, so things just kind of like evolve and just like devolve from there. It is very wet. Study in Drowning. This is a very wet, mildewy, dank, dark book. It is very much essentially a look into this main character's psyche, and the entire book reflects her depression, her malaise in life. And it's very good. Ava Reid is a fantastic writer, like absolutely fantastic. This was my first book by her. And I think it might be my last, because knowing what her other book's about, if she's this good at putting me in a book that was just like, it was great, but I just didn't like being in that headspace, I don't know that I want to read her other books. So highly recommended, but not for me. But yeah, A Study in Drowning, 4.5 stars. We're on to the 5 stars. My 6 5-star reads of the month. 5 of which were in one entire week altogether. Like, just, it was great. So, the first one I haven't talked about at all because this was a very quick reread. I picked up for the subreddit, the fantasy subreddit bingo that goes on every year. This is The Magic Fish by Trung Nguyen. This is essentially kind of a magical realism story about a boy who is struggling with being queer and trying to figure out how to communicate with his mother, both about that, but also about life in general. And interweaved throughout the whole narrative are these like myths and fairy tales. The art is really beautiful. The color work does a lot of storytelling in this. And it's just a fantastic graphic novel. It's a fantastic graphic novel on many layers of it, from the art perspective, from a storytelling perspective, from an first generation immigrant perspective, from a fairy tale perspective, from a queer perspective. Like, there's just a lot going on here. So I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Like, it's just a fantastic graphic novel. Even if you're not a graphic novel reader, I think everybody should read this just for the experience of reading it. It really, really is at the top of its game in terms of what graphic novels can do. So highly recommended, 5 stars. I really love it. So next is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. This is a classic, and I somehow have never been spoiled for this 100-year-old book. And when I got to the end and the reveal of the murderer and the whole premise, I was like, I can't believe how I've not been spoiled for this. So if you have not been spoiled for this book and you're interested in it, don't read anything about it. Don't look up anything about it. Just read it. Get the experience. The full experience is fantastic. Essentially, this is a Hercule Poirot book. He retires to a small town, but it just so happens that somebody is murdered in the small town. It is a locked room mystery. And we uncover a whole troop of suspects, and it's very Christie, very Poirot, very fun. And essentially what created a whole like subgenre of mystery and storytelling. So 5 stars, absolutely worth it. Next, my first 5-star of the month, and I know when I read this book in this series, it's always a 5-star. This is near and dear to my heart. This is Immortal Beloved by Tiernan. This is a book where I refuse to hear anything negative about it. I know everybody has their own opinions. I know it's not a great book. It is very 2010s new adult paranormal romance, but I love this so much. I love the main character a lot. This has a very, very, very deep spot within my heart. It is a comfort read for me. It is a comfort read series. So if you try it out because it sounds interesting and you don't like it, I am so happy you tried it out, but I don't want to hear it. Like, even Lord of the Rings, I'm okay with people not liking Lord of the Rings. But this is one book where it is just too ingrained in my love for it. Like, my love for it is too ingrained within myself for me to hear anything bad about it. So please don't tell me if you don't like it. What is this? 2010 release at the height of paranormal romance. This is about this main character, Anastasia, who is an immortal, which basically means they live very, 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 very long lives. They can die, but they live long lives. She has kind of become detached from her humanity, but something happens that forces her to look at what she's been doing, who she become, and she goes to essentially what is kind of like a rehab for immortals, where they kind of go and kind of reckon with life being an immortal and trying to get back in touch with their humanity. A lot of other stuff happens. There's this through plot throughout the whole trilogy. Someone she meets there is a love interest, and they may or may not have a tangled past. There's a lot of world building lore. I love this book. I love this series. I love it so much. 5 stars, always 5 stars, 6 stars, 10 stars, always. I love this book so much. Next 5-star is The Woods All Black by Lee Mandelo. This is a short novella. This is kind of a horror, historical, gothic kind of thing going on. It is about after World War I, if I remember right. This nurse he is female to male, is a trans nurse. He was a nurse in the trenches during World War I, spent a lot of time in Paris, and then when he comes back home from the war, he joins the Frontier Nursing Service, I believe it is. They send nurses out to small communities who need it, who need more than just like their local community, and maybe they're too far from like a regular hospital or doctor. So they go help birth babies, do vaccines, all kinds of stuff. But when our main character, Leslie, goes to this community that requested a nurse, something happened, and within the time from their request, when Leslie shows up, they're very hostile to Leslie, to him, and other stuff is going on. There's something maybe in the woods. There is another character who is also a trans boy that Leslie tries to help. Other townspeople Leslie tries to help, but things just kind of spiral out of control. It is very good. Is this signed? No, I keep like glancing really quickly at this and thinking like it's signed, and I'm like, there's no reason that it would have been signed yet. But yes, I really enjoyed Feed Them Silence last year from Lee Mandelo, so I'm hoping to get to Summer Suns pretty soon. I think that was like one of their first books. And yeah, he is quickly becoming a new favorite author, so 5 stars, Woods All Black. Next to last 5-star is In the Shadow of the Fall by Tobi Ogundiran. This is a African-inspired fantasy, West African fantasy, and essentially it takes place in this world where our main character, Ashake, is part of this religion where up to a certain year they're supposed to go and hear from a god and serve that god, but she has not been spoken to, and she is driven to desperation and tries to force a spell to make the gods talk to her, and things kind of go wrong from there. I will leave it at that. Very adventurous, very, fast-paced, action-packed. A lot goes on. You learn more about her and this world. There are actually some interstitial chapters following different characters where you learn a lot more about the world, which is very interesting. So I really enjoyed this. 5 stars, obviously, because we're here at the end of the video. 5 stars. Okay, last 5-star, and other than Immortal Beloved, which is an all-time favorite, nobody can top it. Nothing can top it ever. I think The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst was my favorite 5-star read of August. Always beautiful, beautiful lilac sprayed edges. Maybe it's lavender, lilac, I don't know. Sarah Beth Durst got the cozy fantasy prompt and did it right. She really did. This is just, we're in a world where our main character, Keela, is a librarian, and there is a revolution happening, and she and her pet spider plant, Kaz, save crates of books, and she doesn't know what to do, so she decides to go back to her home island, which is a very small island. Everybody knows everybody. She moves back into her parents' old cabin, and she thinks she can hide out and just kind of live her life, but it's a small island and everybody knows everybody, so she's kind of forced into opening up, or not quite opening up, but forced into getting to know her neighbors and becoming friends with people and figuring things out. She does little spells and stuff, but doesn't call them spells. They're remedies. But yeah, there's a romance. There is plot. It's not like anything that is sort of like character miscommunication or anything from that. There's really interesting plot that opens up the world at large, and the characters have to deal with it, and they deal with it by being friends and coming together, and it's just lovely. And there are sentient, like, plants, and Kaz is wonderful. And one thing that still takes me aback about this is that every single character, it's not just humans and then some like magical creatures. Every character's magical creature. Keela has blue skin. So one of the friends she makes friends with has deer antlers and stuff like that. So everything, it's all magical. It's all wonderful. So, and again, this beautiful cover. That is her cottage. There is this flying cat. If you're interested in the flying cat, unfortunately, the cat is not a main part of the story. These cats just happen to be free roaming on this island. So they're in the story, just kind of in the background and stuff like that. But lovely, lovely. What a good time with this. If you're looking for cozy fantasy that has a little bit more plot and stakes to it, but doesn't quite go over the top, still hits that cozy fantasy vibe, slow burn romance, found family, found friends. It's wonderful. So yeah. Rounding out my 5 stars and all my books that I read this month is The Spellshop. It was so good. It was so that was everything I read in August. Like I said, it's hot. So we're gonna keep this short and sweet. Thank you for reading. Thank you for reading. I mean, yes, thank you for reading, but also thank you for watching me. Thank you for watching my video. If you want to leave an emoji just to show you're here, if you don't have anything to say, can't comment, like I would love comments, but if you just want to leave an emoji, leave some kind of plant for the spell shop. Again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.